creatives commentating on the culture they live in. Welcome to Culture Nerds. This week, the nerds are Animaniacs about their spiritual beliefs and progressive Pope? Enjoy. Hello, nerds. You're listening to the most culturally relevant podcast that's ever existed. Welcome to episode 8. Joe, the ad-lib alien, a.k.a. Double A, with
Gabi, the Bodhi Yogi.
Coming down your ear holes, you know what I'm saying? We have the cultural conversations of our day our way. So remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you want to support the show wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes out every Tuesday, all streaming and social media links in the show description. Today, we welcome our very first guest, Miss Amber, at Ambersafro on Instagram, and she is the host of This Is Not Reality podcast. Amber?
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Culture nerds. Happy to be here.
Nice. How you been this week?
Ooh, working a lot, prepping for a big trip in December. Risky, I know, don't judge me, but other than that, trying to make art, the struggle or not.
Nice.
I'm embracing the struggling artist. It's a journey, and so I've been doing a lot of that and just day by day in this world in the shutdown. So
seriously, you got to take it day by day, week by week, because with this pandemic, you're right. When you're thinking like, don't judge me, everything that we do normally nowadays is like,
yo, I'm insecure about everything now.
It's a struggle.
Everything too close to you, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even simple stuff like I put out some candy yesterday for people who wanted to come by the house and like trick or treat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, it was like, is that all right? Like, is anyone even gonna come?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
How did it go?
I mean, it was all gone, so
hey, okay.
It was a success. We're gonna do a little new segment that's called Gaby Gabs.
Yeah, I'm curious to see to hear what Gabi says. It's about wrestling, no?
I asked her about Halloween and wrestling. Maybe I'll just play it off of here because
I should be able to hear it.
It might just be easier. Hi, Gabi.
Hi.
How was your Halloween?
Awesome.
It was awesome?
Mm-hmm.
What was different about it this year than last year?
That sadly we didn't get to go trick-or-treating because of this virus.
Because of the pandemic? And that bummed you out?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you excited for
It's changing my life right now.
It's doing what?
It's changing my life.
Okay. And you wanted to
as an 8-year-old.
Yes. And you wanted to just go back to normal? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the first time you watched wrestling with Papi?
I liked it. It was a little intense and it was long. And I had my hopes on a specific guy that was battling another.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think you'll watch some more wrestling with me?
Yes.
Okay. I love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
She's so cute.
What was super fun about that is that last yes was I asked her the question and she gave me like the head nod and I was like, oh baby, you have to like say it out loud.
Okay.
You can't. It's an audio medium. You can't go like this.
Training her early. That's great.
Yeah. I like to involve her on that kind of stuff because she was actually asking her mom about oh, like, what is dad doing with like the podcast? Like, what is that? So like, when she shows interest like that, I like to involve her in.
It's never too early.
Yeah.
Right.
Early.
I guess in weird nerd news, did you guys hear that Tiny Toons are coming back?
I did not hear that Tiny Toons.
Tiny Toons are coming back, as well as Animaniacs. I know, Amber, you might be a little on the younger side to, know about these shows.
Oh, okay, I know Animaniacs, but I'm
Okay.
struggling to recall what Tiny Toons are.
Tiny Toons was like the baby version of Looney Tunes.
You know who
Oh my god, I do remember, but I just like saw it. I never gave it a name. I was like, oh, that's just the baby version of the Looney Tunes.
Yeah. So they're actually getting a reboot, and so are Animaniacs, which I'm already
oh my god
subscribed on on not YouTube. What am I talking about? Hulu.
Is it on Hulu?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
I was about to get rid of Hulu, but I might not now.
Yeah, because I low key, when I heard about it, I was like, yo, I got to go back and watch the original again, because Hulu has the original too, so you can kind of double up.
Pinky and the Brain is coming back, right?
Yeah.
I love that. See, I feel like Animaniacs is me and my brothers because I have 2 little brothers and one is taller than me, so I feel like it kind of like works out somehow. Wise, and then my other cousin, we used to make a joke that she was Pinky and I was the Brain because I'm a little manipulative sometimes, in a good way. I feel like there's positive parts to those attributes, but yeah, and also I got a big head and I embrace it, and so I was always the Brain, but like it's nostalgic for me. I think it's nostalgic for everybody.
For sure.
I hope they don't mess it up.
Yeah. I love that show. I like, every time I think about it, I just like, I don't know, it gives me that warm feeling inside.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Cartoons after school, like those were like the go-to cartoons.
In the morning?
In the mornings, yep.
I saw this meme online that was Fox Kids or WB. And I mean, WB, like I liked some of the WB shows, but if I had to pick between those 2 networks, I would have to say it was probably Fox Kids.
Give me an example of a Fox Kids show.
They had Spider-Man. They had the animated X-Men show. WB had Batman, Batman Beyond. They had the Animaniacs, which I do have to give them that. That shit was fire. But I don't know. I guess I found myself watching Fox Kids way more often, especially during like Saturday morning cartoons.
I feel like I'm a WB kid. I don't remember Fox Kids, and I feel like that means something. I'm sorry, Fox. Do better, because WB had a brand recognition. So I'm gonna go with WB.
What was your favorite on the WB network?
See, I'm not gonna say nothing because all I can remember is Animaniacs. And if I say a cartoon, it might be a Fox cartoon. So I'm just gonna leave it at WB for life, and that's my answer.
I love her honesty.
We don't remember. I just watch cartoons. I turn on TV, whatever.
I love it. He's out here, no facts. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Does anybody remember the frog from the WB?
Yes, exactly. Brand recognition.
Viste.
She's not messing around. She's like, look, I'm going with what I remember. I don't care about nothing else.
It's a different kind of fact.
I mean, nowadays, that's...
I know. I'm like, look at our president. You can't blame me. Not that I model myself after him, but like, let me go off my own alternative facts.
I get it. I understand.
What we doing?
Did you guys hear that Apple apparently is building a new search engine and they're trying to compete with Google?
Not surprised.
I heard that there's some like lawsuit or something that they're like claiming. I don't know if this is the first one. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't, that they're like claiming that Google has a monopoly, and Google's just like, no, people just like us. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if it has something to do with that.
Oh, I mean, if you're talking about a search engine, Google definitely has a monopoly. There's no, it's a verb now.
Did they earn it? Did they earn it?
I mean, it's not that they didn't earn it, but it's just like when they're the only source of information, you're kind of like, they're kind of in control of what you see or not, and that seems on the edge. You know what I mean? You don't really want only one person telling you what the quote unquote truth is.
That's what every platform does. That's what they're designed to do. They go based off of the algorithm of the things that you like, and they go, oh, you like this? Okay, let's feed you more of this. And that's what just ends up happening.
Mm-hmm. And the whole earn it thing, like, I don't personally think like that, but I know that there is a certain ideology in this country that believes that if a business has earned everything, that they should be able to amass as much wealth as they want and gain that monopoly. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I'm like, I could see that. But I tried to use Bing the other day. I think it's because I saw that article and I was like, I'm going to be like revolutionary and I'm going to use Bing. And it actually was cool.
I didn't know Bing still existed.
See? That's shady. You gotta use Bing more often. Don't do them like that. They out there.
Yo.
So I don't know what Apple's creating, but
Oh my God. It was when you said I tried to Bing something last week, Jolly like pushed back and it was like, oh my God, what?
yeah.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Her response was so visceral.
You gotta try it sometime. It's great.
No, I love it. I didn't know they still existed. That's what took me by surprise. It was like,
there are other ones out there. They're out there. There's more than Google.
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord.
I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be able to. I don't think they're gonna be able to compete with Google. I think they have too much of brand recognition.
Yeah,
Amber would say.
And a head start. They have a head start. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, they for sure have a huge head start. The same way that I think that like Netflix has a huge head start because they're just in the culture in a way that I don't think a lot of other streaming platforms are.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of streaming, you think of Netflix. So it's like, it just, I don't know, it just works for them, even though they're kind of spending so much money on so much content that it's hard to really understand what their business model is to begin with.
They've tried a lot of things out since the beginning, and I feel like they're finding a groove, it seems. But like I said, I've been trying some things out. I was going to get rid of Hulu. I've been adding a lot to my bills in terms of platforms and just exploring all the different platforms. I haven't had cable since like before college, and I've just been like exploring the internet. So I'm excited, to explore all the different platforms.
Yeah, I've been off cable for a really long time. Like, once I figured out that like you could stream everything online, I really started cutting cable like so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just never looked back. I just hope like it doesn't.
Never look back.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't turn into this thing where all the streaming services become so like expansive and expensive that like it turns into like another cable package. Where you're
heading that way.
Yeah.
I feel like it's already heading that way. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you see the different Hulu packages, it'll definitely show you how they're monetizing it. Like, when they pulled out Hulu Live, I was like, okay, now. Okay, just stop. All right. No, but give it to me. Okay.
I still don't get it. I feel like you just explained it more. Because, like, I was just like, I don't, live, what?
Yeah. But they're cable. They're the new cable.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, I basically said it, like cable was holding on by like a thread in the sense that once someone figured out how to like live stream like sports and all other like, let's say award shows and things like that, like things that people want to see live. Once like the networks really figured out how to like get that online and monetize it, they're going to do that, and cable's not going to stand a chance. And that's essentially what's happening.
They're finding their way. I feel like there was a lot of fear around the internet, like with like traditional media. And like maybe there was money loss for a while too. I remember like talking to I met like one professor that owned his like newspaper company. I don't even know what you call it, but it was like struggling at that time because of the internet, and everybody's exploring other possibilities. Like they're going to lose money, but I feel like they're finding their footing or whatever you want to call it in the way that they're charging and becoming new cable. Like things are getting expensive again. I don't know if y'all see that as well. Like if you saw that fear with the internet, and then now it seems that even with music as well and streaming, people just get it now. And I don't know, for better or worse, we getting charged again.
I didn't mind it so much when it was one or two services that had access to these like licensing deals. But once like every single network started to be like, no, we're gonna take our content here, and you know, they're gonna take their content there, and Disney's gonna take their content, and this person's gonna take their content. It was just like, okay, I can't watch all the things I wanted to watch anymore.
This is
without like subscribing to 8 or 9 different services, which is like exactly what I didn't want.
Yep. So they got us.
Yep, they got us. Okay, I don't know. Maybe you guys are going to judge me for this, but in the last weekend, I would say probably like Friday, I watched Hocus Pocus for the first time. I had never seen it before. Okay, Amber with the judgment.
I'm not saying anything. Just expressions. All right, now I'll speak. How dare... I'm just kidding.
Go for it.
No, honestly, I'm not... What'd you say?
I said, what took you so long?
There you go.
I don't know. I don't know.
Thank you.
I guess like... I mean, I'm not going to roast it. It's a good movie. But like I still low-key think when like people get super excited about it, I'm like, all right.
Because it's a childhood classic. If you didn't see it as a kid, it's not gonna make a difference to you now. You watched it, like
no, but I get behind it. Like I'm not even saying after watching it, I'm much less likely to come down hard on someone who's like, "Oh my God, it's the best!" And I was like, I mean, it's pretty good. I gotta hand it to you. It's pretty good. It was very theatrical in that way that like movies used to be.
Yes.
You know, like a few decades ago, but like I don't know, like it was weird because like they had like a little CGI cat. And I was like, wow, for this movie being that old, that like CGI cat is holding up really well. So I was just like, okay, I mean, I get it. Like it works. And like the night afterwards, we watched A Nightmare Before Christmas. And both me and Milady were like, can we remember what is The Nightmare Before Christmas about? And I was like, I'm not sure I've ever seen it like all the way through.
I couldn't tell you.
But like I can't remember a plot for that movie.
I could tell you it was amazing though. No facts. No facts, just straight sentiment. That's what I'm bringing tonight.
That's perfect. Because what was crazy is she goes, you know what? Now that you bring it up, I don't know what the plot of that movie is.
It doesn't really make
sense. But it's great. Like she loved it, and I was just like, I don't know that I can love a movie that I can't remember the plot of.
Does it have anything to do with Halloween, or is it just Christmas?
That's literally the debate I think everyone has.
I think that's what's most confusing.
Oh.
Is this a Halloween movie?
I don't know.
Or is this
But I'm not gonna play them. I'm not gonna play them. You started this segment by saying I'm not. This was Hocus Pocus, but in the same realm, I'm not gonna roast these movies, right? We're gonna respect them, but
Yes.
I feel you. I'm just gonna leave it there.
I don't know. I have to say I still don't know what the plot of A Nightmare Before Christmas is.
Wasn't it that the guy, the main character, Jack something, he doesn't want to do Halloween anymore? And so he tries these different holidays, one of them being Christmas, or the only other one.
He doesn't even try like a bunch of holidays. He just
tries Christmas, right?
Yeah. He just tries Christmas and quote unquote ruins it and gets Santa kidnapped. And then
I forgot about that.
Right? Exactly. Every single person that I talk to about this doesn't remember anything about the plot of this movie.
I remember there was a lot of singing.
Yes.
Ooh, a musical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about musicals? How do musicals make you feel?
Depends on the one. I don't like all of them.
Which one? I don't know. Do you know one? Can you name a musical? Is that
the first one that I ever liked was Wicked. Have you guys ever heard of Wicked?
Yes.
I saw it. Is there a movie version? Or no?
No,
Broadway?
just a book and a play.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw the play. That was lit.
Right.
I could do that. I could do Broadway because it's dynamic. There's a lot going on.
They were like, when I saw those moving parts, I was like, oh, hello.
Yes, on stage. I like that. And then my father used to like watch musicals a lot. He was like a dancer, performer, all that stuff. So I've done a couple musicals. The Wiz is like classic.
Nice.
I can't name a bunch, but that's the number one. I'm okay with them, but for the most part, I don't like the singing. If they're classics, I'll do it. But like the new movies, like I really can't. Like there's a TV show that's like a musical. I think it's on Hulu, and I can't. It's kind of funny, but I can't.
Is it the one about the woman that hears music every time she speaks to someone or daydreams or something like that?
Nah, it's not that one though. That sounds kind of interesting. So we'll, touch base after this. It's like a interracial family. It's a cartoon animated in the city. And it's a musical. It's a lot going on. It's 2020. A lot of different like cultural cross references.
Nice.
I did like the theory. I was into like the idea of it, but it was too much singing, and I can't do too much singing.
Yeah,
I have a limit.
I would probably say to most like musical lovers, I'm probably a hater. Like I like
on the scale of love.
Up, I'm probably a hater. Like most musicals I'm out on.
Okay.
Like, almost 100% of musicals I'm out on. Except for like animation has this like beautiful gray area for me where it's like, all right, it's fine. They're animated. Like there's something about like real life musicals that I'm completely out on. As soon as like a group of people breaks out in song and dance, I'm like, come on. When did you guys rehearse this?
Is it awkward for you or is it just corny? Like what?
No, it's just a touch over my suspense of disbelief.
Oh my God, no, don't do it. Don't do that.
No, I'm serious. As soon as they break out in song and dance, I go, no, like you guys are too well coordinated.
You don't even know him. You just met this person. I know.
Y'all are just in the same cafeteria. When did y'all rehearse this? What's going on here?
So West Side Story is out.
Oh my God, absolutely. What are you talking about? It's the weirdest thing to think.
It's a classic.
Oh, this is a gang that like rehearses dance numbers. It's so counterintuitive.
Or when people are singing the same song on a split screen, it's like, how do you know the same beat, the same song, but it's like you're the female version, this is the male version? Like that's fake, unless they did rehearse it, which is weird.
Yeah, like they're on two separate balconies, like 3 miles away from each other, but they're somehow singing at the exact same time, it was just like, it's a lot.
Then they wait for the next person to come in on the line. Like, it's just...
When it's weird because it's like when it's animated, I'm already thinking, oh, there's a magical snowman. Of course they can like sing random rehearsed numbers because there's magic, right? That's how it happened. Like, there's just something for me to explain it away. Yeah. Even in, do you guys remember Empire?
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it like that? Don't do that. You remember that?
You know why I said it like that. You know why I said it like that.
You know.
You know.
What happened to that?
When it started originally, I was kind of like, okay, this is how you do like a little show that's a musical. Like, you weave it into the actual plot of like the show. Like when these people are doing a musical number, it's because either they're rehearsing a musical number or they're performing a rehearsed musical number. Mm-hmm. So it like works within the plot. Mm. And I don't have to feel like, why are strangers singing like, no stranger would know the lyrics to your song. This is a newly released song. What's happening?
Right.
Mm.
So like, that worked with me, but like when it's just, I think like The Nightmare Before Christmas, it was just plot advancing. They literally sang to advance the plot. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I guess that's harder for me.
I'd never watched it. I was really like, I don't know what, okay, I know exactly what was up with me. I'm a bit of a contrarian. I think that's the term. Or I'm growing out of it. I really try not to be. But in college, I didn't want to watch any TV shows that everybody else watched. I just didn't want to. So Empire, I wasn't watching it. Scandal, no. Orange is the New Black, disgusting. Leave me alone. I'm way too cool. But I found my way to Netflix eventually. Damn. Pretty cool. So I never ended up watching Empire. It was against my character. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what I was going through. It was college. It was a lot.
You're just taking people down. Just like,
I love it. No, I love the ending part. And then I made my way to Netflix.
I gave in eventually. You always do. My life just got way less exciting, and every night just became Netflix and chill. Just like, but Netflix though, like just Netflix.
Yeah,
just Netflix. She wrote back real quick. I mean, you know, there wasn't any chill. It was just, you know,
just Netflix.
Just Netflix. You know, Netflix and popcorn.
Are you still watching this? Yes, I'm gonna finish the whole season. Stop asking. Next.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's get to the main topic. Amber made her choice and she wanted to get kind of spiritual, speak a little bit about the universe. And I have been kicking this idea around as a agnostic or non-believer, let's say, as God makes more sense to me in particular as awareness or consciousness than, let's say, the big man in the sky that like influences.
Amber, do you want to take it away? Or?
I could. I don't mind, because I feel like naturally, I don't know if everyone else asks the next question that I asked even from a young age, but like, if God is a person or human-like, then who is their father? And like, who made them and who made that person? And did they have a human form? Or if they didn't, how did that transform into a human form? And I'm very literal in the fact that maybe because of my like love and adoration for education and academics, I just trust science. And so I'm always thinking about evolution and like, how does that relate to like what scientists have learned, you know? And I'm always going there. So I don't want to say that it's a person, because that doesn't make sense with how I understand the universe to have developed. And I feel better saying that it's this energy because the universe has developed and that's still a mystery. So I'm like, I don't understand that. And that's magical. And I'm gonna call that God, you know? That's how I feel.
Yeah. Similar. It's for me, it's all energy. So God is energy. There's no physical form to it. And it's just one of those, like, for me, what helps me think of or feel connected to is literally, as cheesy and cliche as it's gonna sound, is literally looking in nature, because everything is made of the same source, the same energy, and we're all connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a very, like, when I was little, I thought of the big guy in the sky with the robe and the long beard, but now it's just like, oh, that thing that I feel, okay, that's God.
And I can get into it. Like, I can respectfully refer to that as God whenever, because I feel like by nature, I belong to a lot of different social groups. And so different people regard that energy differently. And so I can say God when I'm speaking to my grandmother or to my mother, because that's how they relate to that, you know? And so I can say that. And it's a way of me still showing respect, you know?
Right. So you use that language in order to better communicate to, let's say, your family member who maybe doesn't have the kind of understanding or the deeper understanding that you feel like you are maybe getting from that spiritual idea.
I wouldn't even call it deeper. I just call it different. Honestly, I've had the privilege or just happenstance to have had different experiences, and I just am in a different social group and place in history. And so I have peers that are my same generation that are religious. They even think about religion differently than their other, older generations. So it's not that I have a deeper understanding, but I just really want to it's like a code switching to me. It really is. And just maintaining respect.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like we're all, to a certain extent, expressing the same thing, but just with different names that make us feel most comfortable.
Yeah. So when some aunts need to maybe do a ritual or get a couple of, maybe coconuts or whatever they need to do around the house, I respect that, and I believe in that. I do. And it's weird because I feel like because I studied social sciences, I'm able to like separate it in my mind, but as a person bring it together. And I'm always doing that. And it's like cognitive dissonance, and it's tough, but it allows me to live a human life and not just super academic,
Yeah. Nice.
I get that. That makes sense. What do you feel like was your evolution with that, I guess, growing up? Like what was your initial understanding, and like how did that evolve to your understanding of your spirituality that you have now?
I remember it like it was yesterday. And I always see my life as like a narrative. And I think a lot of people tend to do that. But some people tend to do it more, and maybe artists more so than anybody else. So I remember when I began my journey, learning about Buddhism and Sikhism and Islam, and just Googling and Wikipediaing and hoping that they were facts. And just realizing that I liked a lot of a little bit of everything. And I don't think it's just about liking. I was connecting it to history. There's always these little rabbit holes that you could go down in YouTube and just learn about some random place in Mesopotamia or, it literally got deep. So I was just there to learn and research. And then over time, I got to really just turn that into a real belief. Like, okay, what do I believe then? Like, what am I going to do with this information? And for a time, I thought I had to choose one. But, I'm at a different place now. And I think it has a lot to do with like taking classes on Buddhism and learning about it as like a subject to pick apart. And I can just respect it like that now. But that's where it started, like Wikipedia.
Nice.
Google.
Okay. Do you feel people need to sort of study a few different religions to start seeing a sort of unifying message that a lot of religions or a lot of spiritual teachings are trying to get us all to look for?
Is your question, do they have to pick one, or do you think?
No, my question is more, do you feel like studying a few different religions gives you more of an overview of what maybe spirituality is headed towards? Like, does it help you sort of have a zoomed out view of the things that, I guess, centuries of, people have been trying to teach over and over again?
Yes. Yes. Education, exposure is always beneficial, but it's not always possible. So it's a privilege to be able to study, to have access to the internet, to be able to read, to be even curious, to even ask that question. These are all privileges. So I truly believe that you can still learn these lessons in just certain experiences and you'll see those common threads. So I'm like, if you can learn and travel or even get a book and learn about different religions, that's great, But for the most part, I think, yeah, study.
Okay.
Nice.
Study for sure.
Gabi?
What?
To add?
I don't have a question. I feel like Amber is able to like express herself so well that it's just like
I had lost my train of thought, and I know I had more, but it'll come back to me. But I remember seeing like a little bit of an outline before the interview, and you just talking about like how there are so many different religions and how it does seem eerie. Like there are some similarities, like be a kind person, don't steal, don't be killing people, like a couple basic things. There's a lot of extra tendrils, that kind of get lost in cultural translation that I would rather do without, which is why I think people end up going down the whole call it a universe route.
Yeah.
Like because we see the problematic issues with like extremism and the dangers of like hating people and controlling women's bodies. Like we don't like that. We're like, nah, can we just be a good person? Don't kill people, don't steal. Like, can we do that? And I think you can get that just from certain life experiences. So I always say, like, I wish people could travel, but if you can't, meet other people, like be friends with someone that you normally wouldn't be friends with, even if it's intergenerationally, like it's just about exposure, learning, understanding.
Yeah.
Is there one set of is there one set of spiritual practices that you gravitate towards the most that you feel or have noticed?
Yeah, I think, but I also can't say that I've seen everything, So I'll say that. I'll admit that first. But from what I've been exposed to, at first, naturally, it's easy, I think, for Afrocentric, hippie-esque, bohemian type souls to gravitate to Buddhism, right? So in Eastern cultures. So that for me, I'm like, oh, life is suffering. The four dharmas. I like simplifying the universe and like just interaction. So all of that made sense to me, and how it all related, and just like separating yourself from temptation, understanding that you are controlled by your temptations, and just, I don't know, just always moderating that and finding peace in navigating life. Like that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. But as an adult, and as someone who's married to a Christian, or someone who was raised as a Christian, I respect the formality, the tradition, the discipline of Catholicism, which my family is Cape Verdean and Catholic, or even my spiritual Puerto Rican family that does more natural. I don't even know what to call it. I say magic. It feel like magic. It look like magic, but more ritualistic practices. I just see it all like that.
Nice.
It's interesting because my mom wasn't like super religious, at least when I was young, but I never connected very well to the, let's say, Western religions of like Christianity and like Catholicism and everything like that. It seemed very restrictive. It seemed very like, don't talk about the things that are like worrying you. Like, don't talk about the things that are like troubling you. Like, it'll just get all solved. And that never worked for me spiritually. So like when I started to really get into like more Eastern religions or Eastern philosophies and that sort of thing, and where it was like, kind of more about exploring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
More about exploring like your inner world and like understanding the things that, like you say, drive you, and these desires that like make you want to make certain decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of working within that and adjusting that. It always felt so much more, it felt like lightening the load,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better term. Like it was, I became a little bit less anxious, a little bit less worried, like just like it grounded me. So I know what you mean in that sense.
Yeah.
Because I also partner with someone who has more traditional sort of Christian beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can very easily just, obviously respect that because, you know, as I've gotten older, I've understood that like everyone's using their own symbolism and their own, language and images to sort of express these things.
Yeah. And you can think about religion as a tool, like one of two ways. It's either this personal thing or this social thing. And I still don't know how to think about life and existing. Like, I feel like maybe it depends on your upbringing. I was prone to be a little bit introspective and selfish, I'd say, and that's how I start, just how I perceive and how I'm thinking about the world. But I think a lot of people who might have been raised is thinking about others in a more, they have a word for that, like countries that are just more about the community, maybe you would be more prone to like thinking about yourself as a person in a group. But like, I don't know, for me, I start with the introspection. So I relate to the Eastern, like, okay, who are you? Like, find out who you are. And by finding out who you are, you'll be a better person in the world. But I do see that other religions, maybe Western religions, really do start there. Like, be a good person in the group, and then you'll be a good person. That's how you know you are a good person. Like different ways to go at it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what pushed you away from the traditional, I guess, did it just not vibe with you? Was there just like an energy in like a more traditional, like Christian religious environment where I don't know, maybe you felt judgment, or I don't want to sort of imply, but I'm just saying like what kind of pushed you away from that and maybe like made you look for other forms of beliefs or spirituality?
Yeah. I err on the side of admitting my own ignorance before I criticize. Like, I just feel like I just have not been exposed to that way of life, and I just don't know or understand. And that has a lot to do with why I judge people. And I hate it. And I'm constantly trying to grow. But it would be dishonest for me to not admit, that I did feel that judgment or shame first. Like, that's what I associated with it. But I think that has a lot to do with how I was as a person. I grew up raised by two American parents who were growing up like right after hip hop, touched down in the cities. Like, they were very free people. They were American as hell, so they just were very different and not so religious. So I feel like because of that, I just don't understand it. And I want to be free. I don't want to be held down. I have all these very American ideals. Although America is super religious, so I don't know if I just contradicted myself. I don't know if America is a walking contradiction. I think that's what it is. We're a contradiction, because then you see the election trying to like, we're all anyway. This country is a mess. Yeah, that's America. I won't take all the blame. It's confusing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think I've said it to a few friends before where I've said that I think America as a whole like has a very individual point of view where it's like it's about just you and you'll make it, and as long as you make it, you'll be totally fine, and all you have to worry about is pulling up your bootstraps and nobody's going to help you, and it's just you. Like that feels like really ingrained in the mythos of America,
Yeah.
It definitely is.
as opposed to like, I feel like there's a lot of other countries where I don't think it's, all over the world, but I think there are some countries that value more of, hey, we kind of work together. There's more of a community. Like, there are countries that, like, I feel like focus a little bit more on creating a community
There's a
than.
word for it. There's a word for it. It'll come to me.
There definitely is. I have a friend who, she's of course, Caucasian, and she's like, I love having friends of different cultures and meeting their families because my family is not like this. And it was a culture shock for her when she first started visiting different homes to be like, oh, this is how you guys interact. Oh, this is cool. And she's noticed herself moving further away from like the American norms and feels more comfortable with the international community of friends that she's created than being back home in the small suburb town. So it's definitely an American thing.
And that's good that it can happen for a generation, like there's hope for the next generation. But I also respect if you're not as influenced from, you're exposed to everything and then you decide, you know what, I want to commit to Islam. And I'm like, all power to you.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think, man, if we could just all be okay with the path that some people just decide is best for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that we like fight about and we obsess about that really doesn't affect, like if I made a decision in my life to live my life a certain way, that it doesn't affect anyone else, but like they just have to feel like, my way is so correct that you have to follow my way of walking down this path of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels like the most toxic.
Because
that feels like the belief that like brings us to this place of judgment and not taking the moment to sort of, I don't know, hear each other out, for lack of a better term.
It's a hard question because then it's easier said than done, because then you have to understand that this has really real implications for holidays, and then it becomes almost competitive in this country where, all right, what is a federal holiday? What are people allowed to like take out of school or take off from work? I don't know. I feel like it's easy to draw the line somewhere like, oh, let's all accept it. But then people get scared. They're like, oh, like, I'm not saying that that's a reason, but I'm just saying that this country tends, and I think it's realistic that this country is so diverse that it's like, for example, I'm thinking about how some of the ideas that Trump espouses are very dangerous. He says that they're religious, but a lot of them are very harmful and violent and dangerous. Mm. And I want him to practice his religion, but I also need for the laws to not harm women. Like, it's like, where do we draw the line? I want to accept all these religions, but where do we draw the line? And I don't have the answers, but it's a matter of debate and free speech. And I don't think I'm necessarily the most qualified person to have these discussions, but I don't think everyone has to be. Like, we have to start talking somewhere, right?
Definitely.
I don't know.
When I have a particular value that I decide to kind of live by, it's not a value that I take on lightly. You know what I mean? When I say that, like, I want to be kind to someone or I want to live a kind life, I'm not saying that in a way to like find loopholes or find ways that like I'm not being kind or I'm justified in not being kind in this situation. Mm. And I find so many people justifying their breaking of their values. Mm. I find, I find people who who say they are Christian or of some religion that practices a value like kindness or forgiveness, and they can't practice that value themselves. Like you can kind of see that they don't have the ability themselves to kind of like forgive, but then they feel this entitlement or this judgment towards others that may be coming up short in a lot of ways. And like, I don't think it's, I don't know. I don't feel like people whom are not necessarily perfect, which none of us are, should be judging anyone else that is struggling, just like we kind of all are.
Yeah.
Like, so when I just see people, you know, one of my biggest things with Mr. you know, Commander in Chief for 45 right now is, you know, he only cares about that value as long as it pushes his narrative forward. It's not, you know, he doesn't espouse anything that doesn't personally benefit him. And it's like, that's not how you should live by your values. Like when you when you say, hey, this is what I believe, like, I'm taking you at your word. Like, you believe in forgiveness, you believe in kindness, and I'll take you at your word, but at the end of the day, your action is going to tell me so much more about what you actually think.
Part of me feels like I've been torn in general. I've been on, I know I'm not the only one that's been on this like philosophical whirlpool this whole year and just like where to draw the line. And when it comes to following the rules, I'm like, it's a tool. You don't have to know how to use it perfectly. You're trying. They're trying. Like, you know, like I feel like there's so many things that we're taught when we're very young, basic principles that don't hit till you're about 30, 27, you know? And then you're like, oh, that's why they be saying that when you're a teenager. And it takes you to mess up like 5 times. But I've also been torn because I've realized that we don't have forever. And a lot of these things are threatening us now. So I've been super torn and I don't have the answers, but I think I do, you know, like at this point, this year has gotten me, pushed me closer toward pessimism. And I'm just like, we need to just start calling shit out and we're not going to let shit slide, you know? So I don't think we need to give them time. Like part of me wants to say, one day someone should learn, but he's an old ass man and he's experienced a lot and he knows better. So at a certain point, it's like, nah, you're evil. And I just need to learn how to discern that quickly. 2020 is not a game and 2021 is not a game either.
Oh, man. Okay. So, I mean, I guess in good news, maybe this year, I don't, that always feels weird saying during this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's good.
There's good news this year. Like, it's a bad year. There's going to be good news, I think, just by nature.
But I mean, I guess towards a more progressive ideal, the Pope, you know, came out on the side of same-sex civil unions.
Finally.
I mean, that's great and that's super progressive, but like, I mean, it's not super progressive. Is it super progressive? Like, is it progressive enough in the world that we kind of live in at this point? Or is it still sort of this, like, I don't know, coded language?
Ooh, what do you mean by coded language? Elaborate, please.
Okay. There's something about him coming out in, you know, in support of same-sex civil unions. You know what I mean? Like that very specific wording. Instead of just like same-sex unions or same-sex marriages. Like it has like a very like, it feels like a very constructed way of phrasing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it feels very reminiscent of like what you heard politicians like 4-8 years ago saying about same-sex marriages, where it was like, well, if it's civil unions, it's fine, but we're like, keeping the sacredness of marriage. We're just making it like this other thing. It feels kind of the same as that, but I don't know. Am I like...
It feels progressive for the church, but a part of me feels like they're just saying it just to say it to keep up with the times. Like, that's personally just how I feel. I feel it's like, it's almost like you have to say, I believe Black Lives Matter in order for people to believe that you're not racist. It's in that kind of same vein of like, yeah, we support same-sex marriages, sure, and then with that coded language that's like put in there instead of just it being, which I find very interesting. I feel like it's the country and the world is literally in flames, and everyone is trying to find how to be on the right side of history, even if they don't believe in it 100%.
That's real. Like 2020, huh? That's when y'all saying it? Going right, huh? I'm just kidding. I want to believe I want to believe it's in good faith, but first off, I'm gonna say it is big. I think it's big. Let's just say it is big. When people get records nowadays, they try to play them. Like when Cardi B breaks a new record, they're like, whatever, whatever, whether it's streaming, whether it's like some type of loophole, but I'm gonna give her that because she still made the record. So at the end of the day, this is big. In history books, it's big. But I'm seeing the way that people don't really have the same respect for authority anymore. And I'm sure there are people that might have more respect for like their local governors than they do for the Pope these days, especially after he said something like that. So I would hope that it's enough. But, churches have been supporting same-sex couples. But you got a point with that language. People be tricky. You have to listen to the words people use, especially when it's legal and like political.
Yeah.
But you never.
Sure. I mean, no doubt, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think it's Pope Francis.
You could get that off and be wrong, and I wouldn't even know.
Okay, cool, whatever. Then everybody that cares who's listening, I'll Google it later, whatever. I don't care.
Roast them now.
But I think it's Pope Francis. I mean, low key, I'm a huge fan. So shout out. Like, he seems
popular.
I mean, he's saying some shit that most people in the church are just like, nah, we ain't never gonna do that. So I'm like, I mean, I presented it like I told you. Yeah, it seems kind of coded language, but even in the coded language, it's like, damn, that's, like you said, you got to give it to him. That's something that no other pope really before him has been touting. And to him come out and say, they deserve love just like everyone else. Like, that's, when I read that was really, really important, where I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it's not just him going the extra mile and going like, they deserve to be a part of families too. And I was like, yeah, of course they do.
But did he go the extra mile? Did he go the extra mile? Or did he just catch up?
For a pope, let's be honest, you're right. For like a regular person, no. But we're going on pope, pope standards here. You know what I mean? Like the pole is low, so we gotta. He's at least trying to hop over.
It probably wasn't a mile, but
yeah,
he did that. I mean? He did that.
He dogged a bit. I mean, no disrespect. I'm so sorry for the Catholics out there, but like,
low key, the reason I go like I hand it to him because it's like, it's not the only time. It throughout his whole. Do you call it a reign when they're a pope? Like,
I have no idea, hon. You're asking the right person.
But throughout his, tenure, he's really like come out with a bunch of stuff like this, and I'm like, okay, I never thought a pope was gonna say that.
Right.
But he's not your traditional pope, anyways, right?
Right. I think you have to be born in like Italy or something like that, right? And he was born in like South America, something like that.
Yeah, he was born somewhere else, and I believe didn't he serve like as a soldier or something like that? Like he didn't follow the natural path that people who reach that level.
Yo, calling out my full bias.
Yeah.
Latin Pope, what's up, baby?
My God, I can't.
Latin Pope, progressive Latin Pope.
Oh yes, progressive Latin.
Yeah.
I can't.
You are
Full bias.
okay. All right.
What is you guys' opinion on why we have so many different, let's say, religions? If we kind of all have this agreement of there is one God.
Why are there multiple?
Because it's more fun that way. That's not. God was like, hey, I want you to understand me in all these flavors. Here are the ingredients. Like,
It's like a puzzle.
yeah.
It's like in order to get this right, I gotta work together. Just like your parents made you do. Just like your parents made you do.
Yeah, I feel like every religion has like the ones that I've come across at least have at least one thing where I'm like, oh, that tool, that thing, that way of speaking about it, spirituality, definitely helps me understand it better or more, or helps me internalize it more. So it's like, even though there are so many different ones, they all bring value. So no wrong in that, right? Like,
that's some beautiful shit. That's some beautiful shit to be like, yo, they all bring a little something, a little value that you can take away. That's, man, you've done the work, huh? Did you do yoga today? Is that why you're?
Yeah. Oh, yoga. The body yogi. The body yogi doesn't go a day without doing yoga. Why would she call herself the body yogi?
I love it. I love it. Full justification of the nickname. It's great.
Body yoga. Wait, what was it?
Body yogi.
Body yogi.
Boricua yogi.
Body yogi. I like it.
Thank you.
Amber, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show today. Again, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Her at Ambersafro on Instagram.
That's Ambersafro, AMBERSAFRO. Ambersafro.
Tell them again.
Ambersafro on Instagram. That's AMBERSAFRO, and ambersafro.com. You can go ahead and find my stuff there. This Is Not Reality podcast is on Spotify, so listen there. And this has been a real pleasure. So thank you guys for talking to me.
Likewise. Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Jadera.
Thank you for being here. All right, that's been another episode of Culture Nerds. We thank you for the support. And if you have comments, suggestions, or story ideas that you want us to talk about, put them in a review, and I'll make sure to read those. And we will start making you a part of the show. We will see you next week. You nerds! Peace out.
I don't know why I throw this up. It don't mean nothing.
I don't know.
Perfect.
It looks cool. It looks good.
No, it looks nerdy for sure.